So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to assemble and disassemble a system unit. So what we need to have is a screwdriver. So let's start. So we have our system unit here and we have a screwdriver. First step is to unscrew the back of our system unit, and so slowly remove the screwdriver. So there we have it. We have the two screw here, and put aside that. Then slowly remove the cover of our system unit. So first thing to do is to observe the parts inside our system unit. So take note of where all the cables are put, and first remove the SATA cable. So we have that here. Then unplug all the power cables in our motherboard, the USB cable, and the power cable in our motherboard. So we have also a speaker here. So let's also remove that in our motherboard. And the 4-pin power cable in our motherboard. The So let's also remove the 20 pin cable. So there. So our next step is to remove the hard drive or the hard disk in our system unit. So we have here our hard disk. So put it aside. So we have to remove our RAM. So when removing a RAM, first thing to do is to unlock the pin, then slowly remove it. So we need to handle it with care. Then put it aside. So we have our 2 RAM in our system unit. So that's what we have. So next one is to unplug our CPU fan. We need to disattach it in our motherboard. So it depends. So our CPU fan is, it depends on what kind of system unit you have. So I have here an Intel motherboard. So it's so hard to remove. It doesn't have a screw. So some motherboard has screws on. It needs to unscrew their CPU fan to their motherboard. So in this case, we have just to unplug that. So we have here our CPU. So just So also you need to handle CPU with care just to avoid damage. And so we don't have anything to remove in our motherboard. So next thing to do is to unscrew our motherboard into the chases of our system unit. Always take note to separate your screws on different parts just to avoid mixing your screws and to place it securely in your parts. So if you use ng different screw in your system unit part, it may cause sometimes it may cause damage to your computer. So sometimes the screw may be loosened or tightened hard. So just to avoid, make it sure that you will place it separately. So we have already removed all of our screws. So here our motherboard. So place it aside. Then the last thing we have to do is to remove our power supply. So power supply is the last part we have to remove in our system unit. So just unscrew that into our chases. So we are done in disassembling our system unit. So there are no more parts in our system unit. So we already remove all. So that is how to disassemble our system unit. So we will going to be assembling our system unit. So we just need to reverse our process. So first, let us put our power supply. So yeah, just put it back. So make sure that your power supply will be tightly screwed in our chases just to avoid removal during just to avoid removal during if we are using our system unit. So if we there will be possibilities that the power supply will going to drop if we do not tighten our screws in our chases. So Just be careful putting back our parts to avoid damage. Yung mga TL. Sige ba? So we are done in putting back our power supply. Next thing to do is put back our motherboard into our chases. So that's hard to then. So if you have already put your motherboard in your chases, then put screw it. Make sure that it's tight and so make sure that your screws are tightly tightly screwed in your stand up. So make sure that it is securely put in your stand ups to avoid loosen. You know what loosen is? So make sure it is tight. Then so we have here the last screw. So we just need to put it back, and there it goes. So we are done in putting back our motherboard. So let us put back our cable. So we have here the USB cable. So it is attached to our front panel. So we need to securely attach that in our motherboard. So make sure that you put your cables properly and make sure that it is in the right place just to avoid conflict in your system unit. So it may cause explosion of your motherboard if it is not properly put. So some motherboards have a names on their cables. So you just need to you need to read and put it back in your motherboard. So motherboards have its names where you will put your cables. 38 minutes na. 38 minutes. Video. Dugay ni i-convert. I-convert. 38 minutes. Website. Ano na mo, design, yung with budlay na yun. Ang siya no, kabalo na ako. Wala pa mo. Sinabot mo? Question na tambala ko lang yan. Sir, ilang ka page ko dran? Pero nga, bilang hindi na ako. Amo daan, wala pa mirror. Ano pa ba ito? Tawag ko. Pero survey na mo. Hindi mo yun ang ito rin. Hindi mo yun. So we have here the speaker, so just put it back. So our motherboard has its name speaker, so I put there. So we have here our CPU or central processing unit. So this is the brain of our computer. So we need to handle it with care to avoid damage. So this is very sensitive. So then make sure that our CPU is properly locked. Then there it is. Then we need to put back our CPU fan. So we need to plug in. So we put it back first. Then make sure that our CPU fan and our heatsink is properly locked. So it needs to be locked. And make sure that it is plugged in our motherboard. So we put back our RAM. So make sure that if you put back your RAM, make sure that it is locked and properly plugged in our motherboard. So our computer will not run if our RAM will is not properly plugged in. Just to so lastly we need to put back our hard drive. So just insert it in our cases, then tightly screw it. Wala Then insert or plug in our SATA cable in our hard disk and also in our motherboard. Then plug in our power cable. The first is the 4-pin cable. We have here the 4-pin. Then the 20-pin cable. Then make sure that also you plug in our power cable in our hard disk, so to give it to have the power in our hard disk to make it on and to make it functionable also. Then make sure that there is no cable wires in our CPU fan, so make it clear. Then lastly, put back our cover. Then so this is the last step on our assembling system unit. So we need to lock in our cover. So this is the last step. Then we are done in our assembling and disassembling our system unit. So this is the final product. So so